Well, joining us to try and make sense of some of that, at least, is public philosopher and researcher at Durham University, alongside journalist and entertainment reporter Stephanie Tecci. I didn't give your name, did I? Jack Symes. Jack is with us.
As a philosopher, it doesn't need his name reading.
No, I know. We haven't had anyone quite that...
grand.
Exactly, that's the word.
Yes.
So we'll start with you, Steph. Yes, this is another Prince Andrew allegation.
Oh gosh, New Year, and you thought the scandals would die down for the Duke of York, and it's not showing any signs of abating anytime soon, especially when it comes to his links with an alleged Chinese spy. So now MI5 apparently questioned Prince Andrew's most senior aide to find out what was the clandestine relationship between him and this spy Yang Tangbo, which dates back to 2013. In general, there's no problems with royals having communications with people.
Well, that was his job as well, anyway.
Yeah, there's no problems with that. But the problem with this guy was that he was flagged up by Suella Braverman at the time for being somewhat banned from coming into the country because of national security grounds. So now there's been hundreds of pages that have been released by the Special Immigrations Appeal to actually give more to the public about this relationship. And, you know, you just think with Andrew, how does he get it wrong with these people that builds relationships with, and why does he feel he needs to build these kind of relationships? He's not the king, he's not someone that we really want him to be representing us with these kind of foreign connections. So it all seems pretty seedy, and I don't think it looks like 2025 is another year where Prince Andrew is going to be plagued by scandal, because now we've had that apparently with Epstein. Apparently his relationship was longer with him than he said in that disastrous Newsnight interview. I would want Prince Andrew to do another interview to clear everything up, but I think that would just be the final nail in the coffin.
Because he doesn't see what he did, how he got it wrong last time. He still thinks it was a good interview.
Now I understand why the king gets annoyed with his younger brother, you know, and I just, I think my sympathy's kind of gone for Prince Andrew, and I just think it's kind of best that he does stay out of public eye, but there are questions about this relationship which need to be answered and should be answered.
What do you make of it, Jack?
I don't think you should be doing another interview for sure. It's a bit of a car crash.
I just want it for entertainment purposes.
Well, yeah, honestly. Jack, what's the Sun on Sunday saying about Labour's plan to attack the reform?
Well, we've got a secret anti-reform database in the works at Labour, a think tank. And, you know, it's not a surprise, really, that it's not much of a secret. You'd be expecting the Labour government to be collecting information about their political rivals. But I think it speaks to just how much the Reform Party has grown. Nigel Farage's Reform Party ahead of in all the major polls against the Conservatives at the moment. And in the piece, Wes Anderson, The Sun highlights, says, we can defeat Farage by turning around the NHS. And I sort of think, you know what? They're not going to be beating Nigel Farage in terms of immigration rhetoric, culture war in general rhetoric. What they need to be doing is sorting out the things that we're relying on in the country, the trains that are over £100 and constantly cancelled, the NHS waiting list, 5 or 6 hours in A&E, school roofs, you know, coming down.
And a lot of that makes sense in a way. The issue you've got, I mean, that latest projection saying that we're going to get an extra 5 million people in the country by 2032. I mean, sorting out things like the NHS, how do you do that when you've got an ever-increasing population? That's the problem. They're interlinked, aren't they?
Well, I think so. I think the main concern, right, is that, well, come into the 2030s, we'll expect, like, the UK birth rate to decline significantly. We've got an ageing population, so the population is going to grow in the 2030s due to immigration. And there's no strong evidence to say that we can't have 80, 90 million people in this country. The difficulty, I think, is when people see, when they're paying so much for trains, when they can't afford, to support their parents as they're growing older, they can't get enough money in their pensions to retire at a decent age. When they see someone coming over to the country, what it looks like on a free ticket, and they think they're getting something for nothing, you can imagine why you'd be really upset and why you could be inclined to vote for the Reform Party. But the philosopher John Rawls, the American philosopher in the 20th century, pointed out wonderfully that what people don't despise is charity. It's not that people don't want to be helping those in need, people fleeing war-torn countries. What they detest is the deep inequality between those at the top and them being left behind. So when they see their standard of living constantly going down, it's no surprise that they find themselves critical of this other group.
And that's where Reform and Nigel Farage are getting it right. They're connecting with what the public are going through at the moment. Like, I just think it's a bit disgraceful for Labour. Like, we've elected you as our government, and you're back-turning on a lot of your policies. You're not connecting with us at all. And I feel like even with Kemi as well, it's like, get out there, campaign with everybody. Let us see you, be present, so we can actually be like, this is a leader we can trust.
That's
and I
a really
think